The slap sounded like a knife, slicing through the quiet air. Inside the small diner of Millstone Town, everyone froze. Spoons hung mid-air, coffee stopped pouring. Morning sunlight reflected on the glass, outlining the thin figure of an old man with a red mark on his cheek. At the corner table, Henry Dawson, 82 years old, a veteran of the Korean War, had just been struck hard across the face by a burly young man. No one understood what had just happened. Henry only looked down at his cup of black coffee, silent. The troublemaker, Chad Riker, a drunk regular at the diner, growled loudly. "You're old and still like to preach? It's none of your business." No one in the restaurant moved. The young waitress trembled. A few customers lowered their heads. No one wanted to get involved. Henry gently touched his cheek. Not from pain, but disbelief. Disbelief at how quickly cruelty could appear. No one knew that the quiet man once wore a Medal of Honor on his chest. And no one imagined that in just a few minutes, his lost son would walk through that door, bringing with him a lesson in respect this town will never forget. Henry Dawson was the kind of man everyone in town recognized, but few truly understood. He lived alone in an old wooden house near the pine forest, where his wife, Ellie, had passed away more than 10 years ago. Every morning, at exactly 8:15, he went to Sandy's diner, sat by the window, ordered black coffee and a small slice of apple pie. He read yesterday's newspaper and sometimes chatted with the waitress, Lily, who always called him Mr. D. Henry had once been a sergeant in the army. During the war, he had dragged his wounded comrades out of shell fire, hands shaking but heart steady. When he returned home, the world had changed. Friends were gone, and his son, Jack Dawson, rebelled at 18, left home, and disappeared without a word, leaving a wound deeper than any scar. But Henry held no resentment. He believed his son would find his own way, never realizing that way would lead Jack into the biker world, men in leather jackets living by their own code and the roar of engines. That morning, Henry came to the diner as usual. He didn't know fate was waiting right outside the door, and that one cruel slap would begin the miracle he had unknowingly waited for all his life. Chad Riker, the town's drunk troublemaker, had been drinking since morning. He barked at Lily, slamming the bill on the counter. "I'm not paying extra for cold coffee," Lily tried to explain, voice trembling. Henry looked up and said softly, "Son, it's not worth it. Let the girl do her job." Chad spun around, eyes blazing. "Who do you think you are, old man? I don't need lessons on manners from someone your age." Before anyone could react, he struck Henry hard. The sound echoed, then silence. Lily froze. A few customers abandoned their breakfast. No one intervened. Henry sat still, hand over his cheek. He wasn't afraid, just sad. Sad for a world where people stayed silent in the face of wrong. One man half rose, then sat down again. The air felt thick, ready to burst. Henry lowered his eyes, took a sip of cold coffee, and said nothing. Time crawled by like rusted clock hands. Chad stayed at the counter, laughing with his friend. Henry sighed, staring out the window toward the dusty road stretching beyond town. A part of him thought of Jack, the little boy who once rode behind him, asking endless questions about the war, then grew up and vanished without goodbye. If Jack were here, what would he do? Henry didn't know. He only knew that when people lose respect, society loses its soul. And then the bell over the door chimed softly. The door of Sandy's diner opened. Heavy boots struck the floor. The smell of leather and motor oil filled the room. A group of bikers walked in, 6 men in black jackets stitched with the emblem Iron Saints. At the center was the tallest one, silver in his beard, eyes cold yet deep. Henry looked up. His heart stopped. It was Jack. The diner froze. Jack said nothing. He looked at his father for a long moment, then his gaze fell on the red mark on Henry's cheek. No one needed to speak. He understood instantly. Jack strolled past each table, his boots hitting the tile in a steady rhythm. Chad looked up, smirking. "Oh, look, the biker's here to rescue Daddy. How cute." No one laughed. Jack stopped in front of him. Silent. His back straight, voice low and clear. "The man you hit is Henry Dawson. He's 82. He's a war veteran. And he's my father." The air turned heavy. The bikers behind him said nothing. Only the clock ticked on the wall. Jack continued, calm but sharp. "He risked his life so men like you could live free, and this is how you repay that freedom. With a slap?" Chad tried to laugh, voice cracking. I didn't know." Jack took one step closer, not threatening, just unwavering. "I don't need your apology. I just need you to walk out that door and learn some respect for someone who's lived a lifetime longer than you." Chad lowered his head. His lips moved, but no words came. He stumbled back, hit a chair, and rushed out the door. The slam echoed, leaving the diner in deep silence. Jack turned to his father. Henry smiled, tears glistening. Jack sat across from him, placing a rough hand over his father's trembling one. "I'm sorry it took me so long to come home." "That's all right, Jack. You're here now. That's enough." Lily quietly set 2 fresh cups of coffee on the table. Outside, sunlight poured through the window, bathing father and son, an old soldier and a biker, 2 generations finding their way back to each other in silence. No one spoke for several minutes, only the clink of spoons and the soft breathing of those around them. A customer stood, walking to Henry's table. "Sir, thank you for what you've done for this country." Others followed. Then the whole diner broke into gentle applause. Henry looked around, eyes kind. He didn't need praise, just the sight of his son beside him. Jack turned to Lily. "Thank you for standing your ground." She smiled. "Today, I learned what courage really looks like." Henry placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. "You see, son, some battles aren't won with fists." "I know, Dad. I just needed to make sure this time I fought for the right thing." Father and son looked out the window, sunlight stretching across the dusty road. From that day on, Jack and the Iron Saints visited the diner often. No one feared them anymore. They chatted with locals, fixed cars, shoveled snow, and donated to veterans in town. Henry was no longer the lonely old man at the corner booth. He became a symbol of kindness, a reminder that respect still exists if we dare to hold on to it. True strength doesn't lie in muscles or intimidation. It lies in the ability to stand up for what's right, without hurting anyone. Henry and Jack didn't just mend a father-son bond, they rekindled something greater. The belief that kindness still has a place in this world, even when we forget how to show it. A slap can start hatred. But that same slap, when met with respect and forgiveness, can open the door to love. Kindness doesn't mean weakness. It means having the courage to stay gentle in a cruel world. If this story touched your heart, leave your mark of kindness. Like, share, and subscribe to spread these human stories every day. And comment below. What do you think makes a person truly strong, power or respect? Maybe your words will reach someone, somewhere, who needs hope today.